Everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
It's nice to see you all. I have to say, I really enjoyed spending Rosh Hashanah with this wonderful community that's taken me in as your rabbi since the beginning of July. And I again want to thank my dear predecessor, the much beloved Rabbi Emerita, Rabbi Michelle, and Cindy, and everyone in the community, Steve, and everyone who has helped me get situated. Thank you so much for getting us through Rosh Hashanah. And I look forward to seeing many of you, hopefully all of you, at the upcoming Yom Kippur. So Shabbat Shuvah, the Sabbath of Return, is this very intense week in the Jewish calendar. We are between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, walking through these high holy days, when the tradition says that the book of life is still open. That's an intimidating image, I find. It is proposed that we take this week to call or write to those whom we may have wronged, to offer heartfelt apologies. It's a whole time period set aside in our calendar about forgiveness. We get the name for the special Haftarah, Shabbat Shuvah, the name of this Shabbat for the special Haftarah that's read on Saturdays from the prophet Hosea, who says, Shuvah Yisrael ad Adonai Elohecha. Return, O Israel, to Adonai your God. So that's where we get sometimes you get Shabbatot with the name of the Haftarah. This is one of them, but it's a repentance-themed Shabbat. The Mishnah teaches that although Yom Kippur atones between humans and God, we have to atone between us and other people. And so this period is especially important for going out proactively to ask for forgiveness for people who we may have wronged. The Talmud says that this is quite an important feat, and that whoever forgives another person who is themselves approached for forgiveness is themselves forgiven by heaven. So it's quite a positive thing to do. But here is the problem for us. Forgiveness is one of the most difficult things that we can be asked to do. If we are slighted, if we are hurt by someone, we tend to replay those things in our mind. That is human nature. We imagine and reimagine and reimagine a situation and say to ourselves, if only I had the chance to say blah. Does anyone who's a Seinfeld fan in here? Seinfeld? Does anybody? Oh, thank you. What kind of contest? Oh, I asked if anyone was a Seinfeld fan. You are, what was the tie-in now? I've lost my train of thought. Forgiveness, oh yeah, sometimes we fantasize about revenge. So I am reminded of the episode with the jerk store comment. Does anyone remember this in Seinfeld? There's an entire episode where George Costanza is bent on revenge by giving this guy like insulted him in a meeting, and he wanted to get revenge, and the entire story arc of the episode is centered on this revenge of George's that backfires spectacularly in his face. You think you remember? All our sages, the sages of the Talmud knew this feeling very well, and they say, if you're insulted and you do not return the insult, you are like the rising sun in strength. It's not bad. In other words, the greatest strength is not payback, but restraint and forgiveness. Our world that we live in teaches somewhat the opposite. Let's have the next slide, please. There it is. Who remembers this? Ricardo Montalban in Star Trek The Wrath of Khan. So this film is famous. There is a famous scene in which he says Does anybody remember the line? Revenge is a dish best served cold. Very good. Okay. So this suggests to us that the best way to get revenge is when somebody's anger has cooled and your anger has cooled and they don't see it coming, and you can plot it super well and you can strike back in a calculated manner and really But Judaism says the opposite. It says that if the ideal is reconciliation, but if you can't reach reconciliation, doing nothing is preferable to perpetuating a cycle of tit-for-tat revenge. History often makes the same point. During the American Civil War, President Abraham Lincoln, the fiercest, had a very fierce critic, a lawyer by the name of Edwin Stanton. Anybody know about Edwin Stanton? Anybody? Edwin Stanton, there he is. Glorious man, huge beard, fantastic fellow. But he once mocked Lincoln, calling him a long-armed ape, unfit for leadership. Not very nice. And many people who were as powerful as Lincoln would have been offended and never talked to this person again and ruined their political career. But instead, Lincoln did... What's up? Did you recently ruin someone's political career? No? Okay. Okay, so... modern day. Okay, fair enough. We're on a president that everybody can agree we like. Lincoln, everybody is okay with Lincoln. Anybody object to Lincoln? Okay. Okay, hold on. We got to stay on target. Okay. Anyway, many in Lincoln's position would have been offended by this, and they would have kicked this guy out of Washington. But Lincoln did the opposite. He appointed Stanton as the Secretary of War because he saw in Stanton a man who was brilliant and a man who was not afraid to oppose him when he felt he was wrong, which was something that Lincoln valued highly. When the two men became friends and respected one another deeply, and when Lincoln was assassinated, it was Stanton who stood at his bedside and said through his tears, "Now he belongs to the ages." That is the power of choosing dignity and restraint over revenge. Lincoln's revenge was not humiliation, but partnership with his supposed foe. His legacy endures not because he silenced his enemies, but because he turned them into allies. Our tradition in its wisdom offers us another way. Not to get even, not to stay trapped in old grudges, but to rise above them. Which brings me to another old line you may have heard. Living well is the best revenge. Some of you have heard this. You may have heard it after talking to an HR representative. Living well is the best revenge. So there's this old sentence, right? It may seem flippant, but when we cling to anger, we give the person who wronged us power in our lives. It's like they're living rent-free in our heads. And Los Angeles and Simi Valley are very expensive places to rent, so we shouldn't allow them to do that. When we let go of the grudge, if best case scenario, they ask for forgiveness. If not, eventually, over time, after we have worked through the anger and reached acceptance, we eventually can let go of the grudge and refuse to be defined by the grudge that we felt. This is the work of this special Shabbat, this special time period that exists between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Our tradition says that the gates of heaven are open at this time, and the gates of our hearts are open at this time, and we are invited to return, not to scorekeeping and pain, but to our God and to ourselves and to the people in our society and our families that we love. So as we walk towards Yom Kippur, I propose we take the advice of the tradition and perhaps of the Proverbs as well. Let us live well with joy and compassion and openness. Let us write ourselves into the book of life, not with revenge, but with love, because in the end, that is the sweetest revenge of all. Gemar Chatzima Tova. Shabbat Shalom.